So, see how I can get this working. Now, ha! Hey, Eric. Welcome. Okay, so I'm getting used to the delay here. Oh, my hair. Do something with this hair real quick. All right. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Eric. Hmm. Anybody else is watching, I'm trying to figure this stuff out at the moment, so bear with me. We're going to be going live here shortly. Well, we are live now, but yeah, no, we're trying. I'm trying. I was hoping a camera was a little better quality, but you know, we'll deal with what we got. Y'all can see how cute my makeup is. I put some effort into it for you. So yeah, I guess we'll just wait for some people to get here and we'll get started. I'm gonna do the straps. Just maybe just fix that. That's fine. So at least I don't look neat. Sorry, wow, I said that out loud. Ah. Hey, Bella! Bella, Bella! Let me get you your wrench, my friend. All right. Alright, let's see how many people we got. I guess we can go ahead and get started. It's just us peoples here. Maybe wait a few more minutes and see if we can. Let's see if we can get up to 5. I'd be happy with 5. Thanks, Bella. I'm pretty excited. I haven't done this before, so this is going to be kind of interesting. But I had some stuff I wanted to talk about, so let's see what we can do. I'm not gonna lie, I did have a shot for social lubrication purposes, but I'm just telling it's just us Goyles here, so I think Eric left to go share and he said he'd be back, so hopefully he'll be back in soon. I'm gonna pop that out for a second because my mic's on it, but I can hear it in the delay, so I know how delayed it is, but we're up to 3. If we can get 2 more. Oh, you did too? Sweet, 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 sweet. Hello, 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 hello. I do need a cat tower. I have two cats, so I should totally have a cat tower so my kitties can sit there. Right now I'm in my son's room because his has a little bit better lighting than my room. So, yay, Eric's back. Um, so you guys ready? Should we get into this? Should we get going? Okay, so you're going to see me sitting there staring at the screen for a minute. There is quite a delay. I don't know if you guys realize how much of a delay there is on this. It's kind of crazy. Maybe, I'd say maybe 10 to 20-second delay, something like that. So we're going to, all right, well, let's get going then. So I called this little meeting here. Oh, thanks, Bella. I did my makeup. I wish the camera was a little better so you could see it a little better because I actually put some effort into this. I figured for you all, for my first time, I would do it for you. Don't get used to it. Okay, anyway, so I called this little meeting here. I had some things that came up during the hurricane. I had some things that came up during the hurricane, and that kind of made me put some dots together. And so I figured I would share the things that I had connected with you. So those of you that don't know, I'm not originally from there, but I did live in Southwest Florida for 15 years, very close to where the hurricane just hit. The hurricane, the eyewall, went in at Marco Island, which is probably about an hour drive south of where I'm from. And the storm broke up right around where I used to live. So fortunately, though, it was minor. Everybody I know and love is safe and accounted for. Everybody is safe in that. But in talking to people as things led up to the storm and doing research, watching the local news channels from Fort Myers area, things like that, I did come across some things that I found out. They had opened multiple shelters, obviously. Most shelters were taking animals, except for the large ones that were like the arenas, which are the sports arenas and the venues where they have concerts and things like that. So they weren't taking pets in those places until right up at the very end, when they kind of just didn't have a choice. But so you've got these people now that are there. Now, in order to get into a shelter, you get ID'd. You get ID'd and you get registered. And in order to be ID'd and registered, you have to be. They said it didn't matter your legal status, but if you don't have, hey Ann, but if you don't have a, if you're not legal, then you don't have the proper ID to be able to get into a shelter. Above and beyond that, if you are a sexual predator, you are not allowed in a shelter. Now, I'm glad for that, for the fact that there are a lot of children in these shelters. They do not need to be around sexual predators, but they weren't setting up a second staging area for people that were not allowed in shelters. Also, if you have any types of warrants against you, bench warrant for anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you were being taken straight to the local shelter of the jail. But all those things were happening throughout Florida as this hurricane was coming. They're taking people at their worst time, and they're separating them, and they're putting them. Yeah, it would be a candy store for them. It would be awful. So, I mean, I agree with that, but I also know people personally that were put on the sexual register because they were 21 and their girlfriend was 16. That's a 5-year age difference. I had that age difference with my first husband. So, I mean, that it can happen. You can be put on there for things that aren't necessarily, being a pedophile. Is that the case always? No, more often than not, that's not the case. But at the same being said, you now have these people that have nowhere to go during a storm, whether they've paid their debt to society or not. And that's, at that time, is that the time you really want to make that distinction? I'm not going pro or con. I'm just putting the facts out there. It does happen a lot. It does. It's sad. I know personally two people that had to be put on the register because of them being overage and their girlfriend being underage, and the age gap was no more than what we would consider normal. If you had an 18-year-old dating a 15-year-old, stuff like that. It's a stupid mistake, and the parents go all ape shitty, and the guy is screwed for the rest of his life, or the girl, whatever. So, but during a hurricane is not the time that we need to make that distinction. They need to have a safe place to go, regardless of what they're on the registry for. They do need to have a safe place to go. Also, the other thing is, if you were non-compliant with evacuating and you were homeless or didn't have a sound structure to be in, so you were outside, the police were inciting Baker Acts. If you don't know what a Baker Act is, a Baker Act in Florida is a 72-hour psych hold that they place you in for being a danger to yourself or someone else. So they were literally rounding people up that didn't want to go to shelters and placing them on psych holds. Now, why is that a problem? Because yes, they were actually being a danger to themselves, but do we not have that right? I mean, do you not have the right to be like, look, I'm homeless, my life sucks, and I just want to ride out the storm outside and be drunk, or not be drunk, or be whatever, just be whatever I want to be? Do you not have that right to make that decision for yourself as an adult? Apparently not. That leads me into my next kind of dot that I connected was, okay, so they're rounding people up and putting them on psych holds. I don't know if any of you know a lot about the medical system and what happens when you're on a psych hold. It's called a 72-hour psych hold, but 72 hours is pretty much bullshit. It's until you're psychologically evaluated, which can take up to 2 weeks. I have heard of people being detained for up to a month because they could not get them a psychological evaluation because they didn't have insurance, or because the system was so overwhelmed they didn't have a shrink to get to them to make that to make that evaluation. So now you have people that are being held against their will. And I've also seen Baker Acts or psych holds being used as a weapon against people. They're a good thing when they're used appropriately, but they're being used as a weapon. I've seen them being used as a weapon. So now you have these people that are in psych holds. They're not going to get any evaluation at all whatsoever until they're able to. And you have to figure that that could be a very long period of time. I hate to do this because I just hate you, but my son is calling, so give me 2 seconds. Hello? Mason? Hey, what's up? Everything okay? What's up? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. Guys, I've got to put this on mute for just a second, guys. I'm sorry. I'm live streaming actually right at the moment. My son says hi, live stream people. He just got robbed. He just got robbed. This is the second time. Are they sending you home? Are you okay? Was it at gunpoint or? Okay. All right. Well, let me know what's up. Okay. Let me know if, I mean, really, they need to let you come home. I'm sorry, but this is the second time. They just need to let you come home. All right. I love you. Call me back. Okay. So sorry about that, guys. My son works at a gas station and he just was robbed at gunpoint for the second time since he's been working there. Um, so yeah, that's what's going on right now. He's going to call me back, so I will have to answer again. But I want to go back to what we were saying. Yeah, fuckers, man, get a job. Stop robbing places. Jeez, this is the second time in a year. My son has been an SSPA, which is a kind of like an assistant manager at a gas station for like a year, and um, yeah, no, he wasn't hurt or anything. He's fine. They're supposed to be coming. They should be letting him come home. I'm thinking he's going to come home and probably do a couple shots. But yeah, such is welcome to our life. That was the third thing. They say things come in threes, so this is our third thing. We had the hurricane where our family, which is grandpa who's 91, my father-in-law who is 350-pound diabetic, and my brother-in-law who has cancer, were the ones that were left in Florida to deal with the storm. The second thing that happened was my daughter was approved for disability, and right as she was approved, they then sent a letter that we thought was a hoax, thought it was a scam, that we had to send her disability check back because she wasn't actually going to get it. So now we have talked to them on that, and they are assessing it, and they're doing their quality checks. So they did send us a check, and my husband just had to go get a credit card so we could get groceries. And I did not mean to turn this chat into this, and I am so sorry. But if you want to see what a partial mental breakdown looks like live, this is it. So yeah, so we got a check for her disability, and I have to send it back now because they have to go back through and do quality control checks. So we could wait another 60 days before we know if she's approved or not. We are barely making ends meet because I can't work because I have to be home with her. And now this is our third thing. My son has now been robbed at gunpoint twice. So they say these things come in threes. So I'm thinking that's our three. I'm thinking we're good now. That's it. We're done. I've said my piece. I've said my rant. I'm sorry. I apologize. I want to get back to what I was saying because if I don't, I'm going to go on a downward spiral and not good. So we're going to get back to where we were. Where we were was Baker Acts. They can hold you until you get your I totally lost my train of thought. They can hold you till you get your psyche eval. With the shelters, everyone is being ID'd. Everyone is being registered, which I understand because they need to know who's there and what they can do. Or, if something were to happen, who they need to contact, things like that. But just think about it. You've got a bunch of people in a facility that they now have your, hey, Cac, hi, baby, much love. They now have your social security number, your driver's license number, your address, your family's information, and they know where you are. And that's for all the shelters. So you have that. Now you're also going to have people that cannot go back to their home for weeks, possibly months. They were taught LCEC and FPL are the two major players, the two major energy players in that area. They're the only ones that they have. And they are saying that there needs to be a complete infrastructure reset on the west coast of Florida. So what does that mean for people on the west coast of Florida? They do not currently have electric. They're not going to be getting it back anytime soon because they, instead of just repairing what they have, they are completely rebuilding from the ground up, which needs to happen there anyway, because everything is above ground and everything is lightning prone. If you don't know, Florida is the lightning capital of the world. Lightning strikes there daily. You have daily lightning strikes on the just constant because it's so flat. You know, there's just lightning, even when there's no storms around, nothing. It's just, it's insane. I was talking to my cousin, both of us have lived down there for a little while, and we were saying that, you know, when you go to Florida, when you move down there, it's like something happens to you. There's just, I don't know, it's just so different because it's one of the only states in the world that less than 10% or less of the population are born and raised there. Everybody else is from somewhere else. So you have like 90% of your population, the way you drive, the way you think, the way you build, the way you worship, the way you, you know, the economy in general is amalgamation of the other 50 states. And so it just creates the weirdest vibe there because there isn't that sense of community and you know, deep, steeped roots and things like that. So Florida is a perfect spot to be hitting with these storms and to wipe it down to nothing and start rolling stuff out from there. And that brings me to my next dot. I do have to believe, with the amount of storms we've had and the way that they've come out, that there is some level of geoengineering going on, that even if they're not all geoengineered, that there are some of them are geoengineered, and they're being sent you know, to level things out, because you get people in these, hey Tabby, you get people in these shelters. What are they going to need when the shelters can't hold them anymore? Those shelters are only good for usually around 72 hours. So you go from shelters, where do you go from there? FEMA camps. So what happens when you go to a FEMA camp? Do you know how many Walmarts there are in Florida now that they have the ability to shut down? There is quite literally a Walmart within a 10 square mile radius of each other throughout the entire state. It is insane. Keck says he's got the U.S. Google patent for tornado hurricane creation machine. I have no doubt. I wish Nathan believed in geoengineering, but you can lead a horse to facts, but you can't make them understand them or impart them. But, you know, I believe the dots that I've connected, and it's just a theory, but it starts with the geoengineering of the storms. Then you get to the shelters where everybody is being ID'd and sent away or imprisoned, or, you know, those are your only options. From there, you can go to FEMA camps. I just also did a video on neural mesh, which can be put in a person with an injection, a 20 gauge injection. That is the size of the standard IV you get when you go into the emergency room to get fluids or medication. It's that small. So just think about this. You get into a FEMA camp and they're like, oh, we've got all these mass people. We've got, you know, all this going on. We've got to inoculate people because they're going to start getting sick. People are just going to start getting sick. So we've got to inoculate them. So what do? We inoculate them and we inject that neural mesh. Now you have an inside into each of these people's brain that can be manipulated from the outside. Not only can they look at your brain waves and all of that, but they can also affect your brain waves. I don't know if you all know about binaural beats and music. True Stream Media just did a great video on music and how it affects us. That type of stuff is what they can do. They start playing certain songs on the radio. They start putting beats in there and everything. You know, I also believe that they have been aerosolizing nanoparticles, which would cause it to rain down. When that rain hits you, it gets into your body. And then now you have these nanoparticles into your body that they can manipulate. Okay, so back to my dots. So we went from geoengineered storms to shelters to FEMA camps. You get into the FEMA camps, they're going to, you know, you're going to have these inoculations and things going on. It's going to happen. Look what they do to the military. My brother-in-law has cancer now that is not normally found in people under the age of 40. They don't, at 50, they don't even start looking for it. He has adenocarcinoma of the colon, and they don't even start looking for that until you're 50. But he was in the military for 6.5 years, and from there he was in prison. So you know those are the two main testing grounds for human subjects that they have available to them, because it's all top secret. It's all under the radar. It's all NDA, non-disclosure agreements. It's all stuff that you cannot be, you're bound to not tell, because you can't tell. You can't tell them what they've done to you because you don't even know. You know, you're in a prison situation. Same thing with like the FEMA camps and stuff like that. You know, they have all of this power and all of this ability, and they fly it right under us, and right under us, right under our radars, right under our noses. So what happens after you've got these FEMA camps up and running that people will go to because they don't have anywhere else to go? They have no power. They have no running water. A lot of the places that got hit still run on pumps. You know, I mean, Trump himself even said it's good that the hurricane took a more westerly track. Well, yeah, because his stuff is all up and down the East Coast. The West Coast is where, you know, you've got these people that they got hit by Charlie and they haven't been hit since, or not very badly. I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place because it's just, this gets me so revved up. You go from the FEMA camps, then what happens? You have all these people that have evacuated, all these extra people that are now gumming up the population in other areas. So what do? How do you fix that? How do you take care of that? You instate martial law. What do you think is going to happen when they start letting people back into their homes after the floods go down in Florida and that? You don't think there's not going to be a form of martial law with time, you know, in place times and, you know, curfews? That's what I'm looking for. In place curfews, and, you know, you can do this, you can't do that. We'll bring you your water. We'll give you your rations. You get this, you get that. You don't get this, you don't get that. That's what happens after hurricanes. That's what happens after major disasters. That's what happens when FEMA comes in and takes over. That's what happens. So it's a form of martial law. So you get that in place, and then you just kind of start moving it out slowly but surely. Do I know any of this for sure? No. Nope, I don't. But these are the dots that I have seen. These are the dots that I've connected. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I hope with everything in me that I'm wrong. I hope that I got my tinfoil hat on and I'm fucking crazy